All right, good morning, everyone.
Good
So,
morning, sir.
yes, we'll begin immediately. I want to welcome all of you to the lecture for today. Like I was saying before others join, we'll try to be a little bit brief today. I have another engagement after now, which will come up very soon. So, permit me, I may leave instead of 11, I may leave around 10:30. That notwithstanding, we are going to go as scheduled. I want to appreciate all of you that took part in the assessment. I saw the entries all. I think as at the time we started, let me check again whether somebody. Yeah, I have a 94 reference. I'm there from group 2, and then group 1 about group 1. I'm having how many responses now? 78. 94 plus 78. I think that is a 172. That's good. All right, thank you very much for your input. Like I said, it forms part of your CA for participating alone. We are going to review it later, but for participating, you will be sure that you've already gotten some marks already for your CA. I'm going to be giving you another one again just for tomorrow class. That will also form part of the CA as well too. We are encouraged to make sure that you don't just take just the test alone. At least have multiple CAs, multiple assignments in order for it to build up your continuous assessment as you prepare towards the exams. So I want group 1 to please quickly upload you can share your screen so that you quickly run through it. You must not, let it not be too verbose. Then I'll take the class for today and then we close. Remember, it is your individual response I'm working with, not with this presentation per se. But the presentation, I could just correct one or two things for general. And also, group 1, please, can you make your presentation? Thank you. Are you presenting from the phone? It's looking tiny.
Yes, the presentation is from a phone, sir.
Can you tilt the phone to be landscape? Maybe that will help us. Uh-huh. Thank you. You can go. Oh. It's back to portrait. Go on, please.
Okay, it's rotated. Is it better now, sir?
Yes.
Oh, it's rotated now. Over to group 1.
Yes.
The presenter, raise your hand up and you'll be invited to carry on. We are waiting for group 1.
If group 1 is not ready, group 2. If you are ready, you raise your hand too.
Who is presenting for group 1?
Maybe the person. In this kind of scenario, maybe you make an alternative arrangement in case the first person, things happen. It's possible the person could not join.
Okay. So group, if you go over to group 2.
Okay, I'm seeing somebody hands up, Remy Kachala. You have the
Okay.
floor. On mute, please.
Okay. Good morning.
Reading
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Good morning. I'm sorry that I just decided to study to do the presentation since nobody has raised up their hands yet. Okay,
No
so I'm
problem.
doing the presentation on behalf of Group One. Good morning, everybody. Next slide, please. So we received the case study to review and then carry out a negative environmental impact assessment for the project that was highlighted in the deck. We considered different elements of environmental impact as we were taught in the previous sessions for the EIA, some of which include the environmental slash physical impacts, biological, social health, economic, and cumulative. We first of all approach it, next slide please, using the first four tasks. So focusing on the very obvious risk factors or implications that were presented in those tasks. So for task one, the social implications that we found are construction activities may disrupt daily life through land acquisition, which may impact people's livelihoods and restricted access to roads, farms, river resources, temporary displacement of households as a result of the activities for the construction of those reservoirs, as well as river flows and altered access to water can create tension within the communities. One other thing we found also was that poor community engagement may lead to resistance. Like if the community was not properly engaged in the land acquisition process or the necessary engagements from the hierarchy of the community to make sure that everybody is carried along was not done, no proper documentation. This is also drawn from the example you cited yesterday about the university not doing the proper documentation during the engagement, and then generations later, even though the project is beneficial, the future generations didn't quite see the impact and hence the resistance. So making sure that those are put in place to avoid issues that could lead to mistrust and then inequitable access to improved water supply. There are also economic implications as a result of high maintenance from municipal budgets, construction-related damages to the roads, which may impact access to lands and farmlands and reduce local productivity for household income, because they are largely a farming community and hence depend on having good access to the roads for them to be able to get their farm produce to the market. So this could impact on the overall livelihoods due to post-harvest losses. Water loss from leaking pipes and inefficient systems could reduce economic inefficiency, as well as failure of infrastructure and increase in future rehabilitation slash replacement costs. Because if we don't factor all of this in from the onset, then there will probably be not adequate mitigations put in place. For health implications, this occurs on workers and stagnant water in reservoirs they may also result in vector-borne diseases such as malaria. Poorly treated and contaminated drinking water poses a risk of waterborne diseases, and so there has to be some form of quality checks and systems put in place to manage this while the project is being planned for. So this could be implemented within the environmental management plan, including diarrhea and cholera. These are some of the diseases that could result. Then there's also the dust, airborne diseases as a result of dust, exposure and inhalation, noise, and then operational failures at treatment facilities may affect workers, as well as occupational health and safety risks as a result of traffic risk, exposure to heavy duty trucks working in the community, which may not normally be the case before the project. Biological impacts include the construction of river, lakes, water intake plants may lead to disturbance of aquatic ecosystems and vegetation clearing. Then physical impact could result from increased water turbidity during the construction process and the potential pollution from construction waste, fuel spills and treatment chemicals. Because it's a reservoir, there may be treatments of the water there, and so it may expose the environment to those chemicals if they're not managed properly. It may also cause soil erosion along river banks, noise and dust pollution, and temporary disruption of community activities near the river, the construction sites. Next slide, please. Task 2. For that, we found that the social implications could include land clearing and reservoir construction that would displace households or restrict access to farmlands and communal lands, causing social tensions. Nearby communities may also experience disruption of daily activities, reduced access to local resources, satisfaction if their concerns we found are that the project may require high upfront investment and ongoing maintenance costs. Construction may damage roads, farmlands, or local infrastructure, reducing local productivity and income. Poor reservoir management could also lead to water losses or inefficiency, increasing future repair or replacement expenses. For the health implications, stagnant water
Up 2 minutes more.
Okay. Stagnant water may result in vector-borne diseases and others. Next slide, please. We have physical implications that are similar to the ones we've discussed for the previous task. For the social implications, there's the risk of entrenching of roads due to the heavy equipment and then displacement because of the acquisition and the loss of farmlands. Economic implications include the impact of the roads on the farmers. And for the fourth task, we have similar social tasks, social and excuse me, sorry, I'm tense. And then we now looked at the holistic project from all the risks. So for the next few slides, we discussed and highlighted on the major risks for the environmental impact as shown on the deck: river ecosystems, soil erosion, noise and dust, river turbidity. Next slide, please. Flooding risk exposure, effect on the aquatic ecosystems, vegetation loss, wildlife and people displacement. Next slide, please. And then the social impact overall in the ranking of high to low is loss of farmlands, community disturbances, traffic risk, hazards, temporary displacements of people and livelihood disruptions. Next slide, please. For the health impacts, we talked about the dust and noise exposure, water contamination risk, worker accidents, and public safety concerns. Next slide. Economic impacts include reduced farmland productivity and infrastructure costs. Next, please. Cumulative and long-term issues that we identified, so that long-term ecosystem degradation, soil fertility loss, and flooding increase. Next slide. Key mitigations we identified are erosion control and land restoration, pollution and spill prevention, environmental flow maintenance and ecosystem protection, community engagement, and health safety controls. The coded severity risk as shown in the level, all red imply that they are high risk, while the medium is in amber. Next, please. So we created this impact and monitoring matrix to highlight the overall conversation that has been communicated in the deck, with highlight on project activities, the negative impact, the severity ranking, the different mitigations, monitoring indicators that we could put in place, as well as the key responsibilities for implementing those mitigations of control. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that detailed presentation. I think that was great. Yes, a round of applause from thank you for those reactions from the group members. I think that was a very detailed presentation, and from all indication, it showed that you guys did a very detailed work. Apart from that, also, I can see that you went beyond the scope of the question that is being asked. That was a major concern for me. You went beyond the scope, even though it's good, but sometimes you just have to stay within the scope of the question that is being asked. So it's okay. I love it. In a way, with this knowledge, I'll just do a very little today. And I believe the message would have been passed on. So one thing I observe with your slides is the fact that, yeah, you carried us along, but I observed that when you were talking about the tax you did not put, I was not carried along to some extent there. You just say tax one, tax two, tax three, tax one. I'm not carrying the question with me here.
Oh,
So
right.
what is tax one? I don't know what tax one
So,
is.
so
What
the
you are
reason why
trying to.
we didn't put that because we were trying to conserve our space because of the
No,
timing and
you
then
could
the
have
number of
given, hold
slides
on. You could have given it just a short title. It must not
overview.
be yes, not just a
Okay,
complete writing of the questions. Just a
okay,
short
okay.
to draw our attention to which particular aspect of the project you are focusing on. Just minor correction, Sha.
Thank you
And
very
then
much for that.
I observed that you did a very detailed analysis of the impact, looking at it from the physical, from the biological, the economic, as well as the cumulative. So it's good, okay? And that shows that your team, you have experts from all these areas. Now, when we go further in what we are going to do today, there's a part of the EIA process that is called impact analysis. It's good that you mention all this. When you get to impact analysis, now that is when you are going to start trimming it down because you may not be able to handle all of them all within the EIA process. During the impact analysis, some of these things will now be trimmed down, okay, to a more focused level. So, but generally, you did a very good presentation, and for the fact that you were called in, you were not, you were called in at a point whereby the group needed help most, and you delivered this way. I think that was a good one. Please, more reactions to appreciate her, please. Then, did anybody in the group, just one person, because of our time, want to say something in addition? I think you did it. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. You can see them, but Rimini.
Yes, I can. Thank you so much,
All
everybody.
right. All right. Thank you. All right. Uh, any comment from group one or group two? You want to ask question? Charles. All right. Okay. No comment from group one. Group two, you want to ask question? Ask them question. I'm giving you opportunity. Who? Charles, your hand is up. Okay, Charles. I tell you should unmute and speak, except you want to be mischievous. Charles, there is a command from me that you should unmute and speak. If you are not ready to speak, you can bring down your hand. Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Can we quickly take group two? Group two. All right. Julius. I'm giving prompting that you should unmute. Is it Vincent or Julius?
Yes, it's Vincent. Good morning, everyone.
Okay. Good morning.
Okay, I'm Vincent Okeke. I'll be presenting on behalf of Group 2 in respect to the assignment that was given to us. So, on the assignment, we were asked to get or give. Hope you can hear me clear.
Yes.
Yes, sir. You are clear, sir.
Okay. We're given the task to give the negative impact on a project that is to be carried out. And there were 4 activities that was highlighted on that particular project. So the first activity that was to be carried out is the construction of collective sanitation infrastructure, which involve trunk sewer, 30 sanitary facilities, and 300 school latrine. So next slide, please. We were able to identify some of the negative impacts, which involves one, environmental impact. And in that environmental impact, the negative aspect of it, first of all, will be soil disturbance and erosion. You see, evacuation for sewer line may worsen erosion in the terrain that are sedimentary, that is, the areas that are not actually, the soils there are sedimentary. It might cause erosion and disturbance of the soil. Secondly, also groundwater contamination. Poorly sealed latrine or leaks in sewer pipe can allow infiltration into shallow stream or well to say. Also, surface water pollution. Accidental discharge of untreated water waste may pollute streams during rainy season. And lastly, under environmental impact, the negative impact, the generation of construction waste, spoiled material, packaging, and debris may be improperly disposed, maybe during the construction process. Also, one negative aspect of it, of the activity that will be carried out, we found is the economic aspect of it. Under the economic aspect of it, the projects, it might be high cost of carrying out of that project, and also the maintenance level, it's very high, because getting some of the equipment that we try to find blockage and leakages in this construction might be very expensive. Also, we looked at the public health care of it, spread of pathogens during construction. Open trenches and exposed sewage can increase disease risks around the area. Other nuisance. Sewer and latrine may cause unpleasant smell, especially in hot season. During hot season, they might tend to experience very bad odors within that area that this construction will be carried out. Finally, on the first activity, we also find out the negative impact of it, which will be social impact. On the social impact, land acquisition and displacement. The sewer route may require land from household or even farmer, because it's going to be a very big project, and it might tend to displace some persons, their house, and also their farmland in order to have that construction done. Disruption of school activity. In constructing these latrines and also facilities, the construction in school may interrupt learning and impose risks to the children also. And finally, occupation hazard. Workers may be faced with accident if there's any trench collapse or exposure to the sewage. Next slide, please. On the second activity, which is the construction of 10 semi-engineered landfill, which is in the municipal solid waste management site. The first aspect of the negative impact we found out is the environmental impact, is land degradation and loss of farmland. Landfill may occupy agricultural land or grazing area, where these dumps, these debris will be packed or just poured. It might occupy a lot of agricultural area and also grazing area. Leachate population also, and pollution. Rainwater might take in all the liquid, all the germs and everything when poured upon that place into the communities, and also it will cause contamination in the stream water in the area. Air pollution. Decomposition produces methane and also foul odor in the environment, and smells from that place will actually disturb the community involved or in question. Increased pest and pollution. you see, wherever you find heaps of dumps or anything, you get to find out that you see a lot of rodents, fly, mosquitoes, and even scavenging animals that will come there to feed and everything might creep in into the surroundings, into the homes and every, will I say, things around that place, and it will not be comfortable for human. Lastly, under the environmental impact, which will be negative in this activity that will be carried out, is fire hazard. Accumulated gases can trigger fire, especially in dry season. There are so many things that will be dumped, and we don't know the level of gas and also the things involved in that.
Yeah, you have 2 minutes more.
That will be put. We'll also have climate impact under that aspect. Greenhouse emission, methane can disturb our climate, and as well as the social impact, which involve community opposition. Nearby residents may reject land fee, citing due to odor and stigma. Health risks. Under health risks, improper waste handling can spread infection and injuries. Traffic and road damage. Under traffic and road
It's
damage.
okay. It's okay. Go on. Just read through. Don't explain again.
Okay. The third activity, which is construction of 50, which involves a public place such as markets and bus park. The environmental impact are groundwater contamination, soil instability, poor sludge management, while the public health impact is disease transmission, odor and sanitation nuisance. Social impact involve gender and safety concern, and also vandalization and some of those public items, inequitable access. Sorry, I'm just trying to be fast. And lastly, the installation of 20 Montfort type incinerator. The environmental impact, negative impact of it are air pollution, of which you all know, ash disposal issue. When burned, sometimes the ash gets to disturb the environment. Other nuisance also can be involved in that. Public health impact, the respiratory problem can be involved during this building of the incinerator in that particular area. Also, we have social institution impact, social and institutional impact, negative impact. Operational sustainability risks is there. Community complaints, that is, the residents might oppose the incinerator located nearby homes, and they might not be happy.
All right, conclude now.
In conclusion, in as much as this project is very good, there are so many negative impacts which involve the erosion, groundwater pollution, poor waste sludge management, etc. And we try to look at the cross-section of all these negative impacts. We'll see that it increased pressure on local institutions, whereby most of these people, maintenance are very difficult and they are not comfortable with it. Construction face nuisance. During construction, they are going to face a lot of dust, noise, traffic disturbance, and all lot of that. We go further to the climate and seasonal constraint. During heavy rain and rainfall or dry season, they will face a lot of health risks due to the overflooding, and also dry season heat might cause smelling odor. And finally, weak waste and sludge disposal. Some of the sanitary and development, if there's a weak pipe or leakages, it will also cause harmful diseases and expose the community to risks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation also. I think the two groups, you all did a great job. Please appreciate Vincent for that. He did a good presentation. It's not easy. I could see that you went further to be explaining some of them and why you selected them as a negative impact. That's good. That shows that you did a detailed work. So EIA is not something you just do anyhow. You should be actually be able to explain it and defend it. You know, it involves review. Other specialists with experience are going to review it. So you write it and should be able to defend it. But like I said, irrespective of how detailed and numerous this is, when you get to the point of impact analysis, you see that you may need to just cut down on some of them that are not very high in terms of their impact on the end users, on the environment, and as well as the way of life of the people that will be using the project. So generally, I want to say that group 2, thumbs up, you tried. But permit me to just pick out one or two things. I observed I didn't give you people time. So you video. Can you please off your video for now? Some of us are using our phone network. When you are streaming, you just off the I advise that please, just like the class rep, put your passport picture there, just to show when the network bandwidth is not very strong in some instances. When you are streaming, you also affect, you can easily knock out the person that is speaking when his network is not strong. So please do some video, please. Can you off if you can? So if you look at the first page of your slide, group 2, I was not happy when you misspelled assignment. So it's like you did it and then another person did not take a look at it. I want to encourage that you guys you do what we call peer review. Sometimes you can be looking at a mistake. Gift, can you off your video? Gift Wiki, please. All right, thank you. So when you do peer review, sometimes some things you are reading from your head can actually, another person will just pick it out for you. So next time, whenever you prepare a PowerPoint like that, just give it to somebody else. Let the person just come through to reduce some of the typographical error. Then, Vincent, please, can you explain? When you said one of the social issue in one of the projects is vandalization, what do you mean by that? Has Vincent gone?
Vincent, raise up your hand again so that you'll be allowed to speak.
All right. Any other person could speak if you have input on that. All right. Philemon.
Vincent, you can, I've unmuted Vincent, you can speak.
Okay.
Chief Okeke, you can speak, sir.
Quickly. Time.
Vincent, you can unmute
Time
and
is
speak,
not
yes.
our friend today.
Under the social aspect, which I said, and vandalization, you know, when some of these latrines and also sanitary facilities are being built, the communities don't seem to see it as something good, and they will end up vandalizing most of the aspects. So that also would just say it's a social negative impact under our behavior, how we behave sometimes within the terrain.
Hold on. Look at it again. Is that supposed to be a negative impact of the project? Yes.
Okay.
Because every facility in the project side, they are subject to that. We want something specific, okay? Because even if you put your tractor or your bulldozer there, it's liable to vandalization as well too. So that looks a little bit ambiguous. I just want to draw your attention to it for future district. Just make it specific to the project activity. this project activity, what will be the negative impact that is going to induce on the environment and on the way of life of the people. It's good that you covered everything concerning the project as per physical, social, environmental, economic, and so on. But later on, you get to, when we get into the lecture, you get to discover that your emphasis more as you go on will be more on the environment. And when you're talking of the environment, of course, you look at it from the physical, the biological, the chemical aspect as well too. And then you also look at the social component as well. Those are the basic ones that look at. So you tried very well, and I appreciate your effort. Just to draw your attention to it to be more specific later. All right, thank you, Uche Matthew, and everyone. So, Philemon, is there something you want to add or question to group 2?
Yeah, good morning, sir. I just have a little contribution. I want to look at the overall benefit of the project. The project is actually going to create jobs for the community. It's going to be economic growth, and then there will be reduction in poverty, because as the local economy is growing, a lot of people will be stimulated, and that will lead to increasing the standard of living of the people. And then the project also has a overall negative impact.
Just summarize, yeah.
Yeah, on the inhabitant. Actually, there's a potential of displacing people, and also there's going to be air and soil pollution. And then on the positive side, construction of latrine sanitation is going to increase girl child enrollment in schools, because we've had this experience in some parts of Nigeria here. Currently, there's a World Bank project in Kebbi State precisely where toilet facilities are built with water. So that encourages encourages girls to enroll in school, knowing fully well that their sanitation needs will be met in school. And then quickly, sir, for some of the mitigational measures, of course, there must be a detailed emergency response plan for the project to tackle emergency challenges. Example, provide site nurses, ambulances, and then there must be fire drills for the staff to tackle any fire incidents. And then lastly, there must be grievances resolve mechanism to address issues arising from conflict from the host community. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for that contribution. It's appreciated. Julius, Musa, quickly. Philemon, bring down your hand. Okay.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Doc. Yeah. So I want to contribute majorly to, or straightforward to those impacts, the negative impact that will affect the peripheral community. One of them is destruction of natural habitat for plants, biomes, animals, and even humans. Because, example, the construction of sewers or toilet latrines could make displacement of natural habitat of people where they lived before. They have to evacuate for such to happen, and that could be a problem. Another one is replacement of arable land. Remember that the peripheral community is rich, are people that do agriculture, right? And
yes.
If there is this construction coming in, then definitely the arable lands are going to be reclaimed in order to do those belt environmental projects, which could be a problem because they would not be having more to their economy, just like the first presenter have said. Maybe they depend fully on their market for source of income or something, or partly for source of income. So it could be a problem. Then the last one is poor engineering constructions could aggravate the erosion menace in that very place. Remember, we said their land is sedimentary, so it's susceptible to erosion. So therefore, when there is when there is poor engineering, that's from the builders, it could aggravate the issue of erosion in that settlement. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that contribution. I hope you guys are taking notes. Thank you. Akanyi, George.
Good morning, sir. Mine is a question. I'm from Group 1.
Okay.
He said the cost of construction, when he was discussing the economic negative impact of the project, the cost of construction and maintenance. To what we have, we said the government facilitated a loan to build this facility for the community. So how does this construction and maintenance pose a negative impact on the community itself? Thank you.
All right. I think that and others were also observed by me too. But I say when I am doing the lecture itself, I was going to draw his attention to that. So I think it's just generalization that led to that. It's not different from how they brought in vandalization on that. So let's not belabor that. It's just for them to take note against subsequent time. It's good for you to be concise, and so that you don't uh, uh, place yourself in a level whereby reviewers will have to be correcting a lot, and it will look as if you are not very serious about bringing out the observed issues when you carried out your screening. All right. Finally, I'll just take Agba Ben, Stephen now, and then we'll start the lectures.
Okay, good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Still representing the two. Basically, we want to also emphasize that this impact could be specific to certain phases of the project. That is the pre-construction phase, during the construction and the post-construction. For instance, mobilization to site can increase the traffic on the highway, on the road, can put a strain, can increase noise pollution, and so on and so forth. During the construction phase, you could have the influx of workers. This can increase the risk of sexual exploitation and abuse. It can introduce, in fact, it will cause a strain on resources, because if, for instance, there was just one market or one shop in the whole community, with more labor, there's going to be stress on that particular shop. So farmers or other community members may not be able to utilize those resources. And on the construction, the final phase, which is the operational phase, we know that for some of them, there could be leakage of due to failure of the engineering, just like my colleague just mentioned. So these are many more, but most importantly, we want to emphasize that this impact could also be at the various phases of the construction.
Thank you very much. That's very, very correct. Okay. When we get into the EMP component, environmental management plan, you see that they are usually broken down into those phases: the pre-construction, the construction phase, and then the decommissioning phase of the project. So it's good that you brought that up. I want to thank you all for the effort and for the contributions made. Tomorrow we'll still go further and take a case study. That case study, you are going to look at a video. Okay, I'll post the link. You watch it on YouTube, and then you answer. It's a very short clip, I think about 9 minutes or so. Then you answer some of the questions based on what you saw in the video, and you report it. We also have two groups like this. We'll do an extensive review of what happened in that particular project, as we will also submit individually too. All right. So without wasting time, I would like to run through what we have for today, and that I can catch up with my schedule on campus. Let me try and share my screen. Right. So today we are going to the meat of this course, in particular, the, the, the main point, the environmental impact assessment process. So we are going to start by understanding what is environmental impact assessment. You said the EIA process is a systematic process used to identify, predict, evaluate, mitigate the environmental and social effects of a proposed project before decisions are made. Emphasis on that word systematic. It's not done anyhow. It is a systematic process that is used to identify, predict, evaluate, and mitigate environmental and social effects. I want you to narrow down that we are concerned mainly on the environmental and social effect of proposed projects before decisions are made. And the legal basis for that is that EIA Act in 2004 and international best practices. In fact, outside the country, in most of the developed countries, you just have to do an EIA when your project involves a significant disturbance of the environment and as well as the life of the people that are resident within the project area. And the general purpose to ensure sustainable development, protection of the environment, just as we have been saying right from Monday, and involve stakeholders in decision making as regard development projects, so that it will not be as if you are doing them a favor. People are also carried along, okay? Sometimes that's the kind of mentality some contractors have. Yeah, they come in there and then it look as if this road you are doing should just be happy and don't decision making that will determine the project. Sorry, I'm back. I got kicked out, but I'm back. Sorry about that. So it involves series of stages and it helps decision making. Is it necessary to go on with this project? Is the negative impact more than the positive impact? Is it worth it? And then decisions are being taken, whether to go on or not. So resources required for preparing an EIA requires they qualify multidisciplinary staff. Like we said yesterday, it involves a whole lot. Somebody that is good in ecology, somebody that is good in sociology, somebody that is also good in soil testing. You need a surveyor, and all that is multidisciplinary in nature. So we also have established technical guidelines, usually provided by the ministry, and then information about the project. And you also need to have robust information about the environment as well too. And then you should have analytical and administrative capability. Yes, how well structured is your company? Should have institutional arrangement, who handles what, and do you have an M&E department? Do you have a review department? Do you have competent staff? What about the review, monitoring, and enforcement power? And then most especially, you need time and money. That's some of the resources required in preparing EIA. One of the bad practices people do these days is a situation whereby they go online or they take someone, let's say an EIA was done for road construction from Abuja to Makurdi. You just carry it and change the name and reproduce the same for Abuja and Lokoja. Those are very bad practices, and we're going to talk about it later on. So you need time. You need to be ready to invest time, okay? And you also need money to carry out an EIA project. I told you the other time that money is involved and there are millions, okay? Now, when consultant bill the proponent or the government concerning an EIA of a project, they are usually millions. So time and money is also part of it too. So this is the general overview of the EIA process. Like I said, it is systematic in nature. You can't do follow-up before screening. You can also do scoping before screening. Baseline studies should not be done before screening. Impact analysis should not be done after follow-up. Okay, so it's a stepwise process that are involved, and we have 10 core stages of this EIA process. The first one is the screening. By the side there, you can see that I put it in acronym for those of you that want to memorize it. Whether you like it or not, questions from here will tell you to reproduce this in your exam. And if you mix them up, frankly, we'll stop at wherever you got it right. From where you got it wrong, even if you mention all of them, we'll mark you down. It shows that you really didn't understand it very well. So sometimes acronyms like this could help you remember. Okay. So if you put review before reporting, sorry, it's another issue also too. So take note of that. So you have screening, scoping, baseline study, impact analysis, mitigation, measure, reporting, review, decision-making, follow-up, and then public participation. So the chart is like this. On the proposal identification, you do a screening. From the screening, if the screening is not very conclusive, you do what we call the initial environmental examination before carrying out your scoping, if EIA is required. From the scoping, you move to impact analysis. From there, you move to mitigation and impact management. Then you write out the EIA report. The report is then being reviewed, okay? After being reviewed, then at that particular phase, the decision can be taken whether it is approved or not approved. And if it is not approved, they could tell you to redesign or resubmit. Okay. Then at that review phase, when that document has been reviewed and found that it is okay, you are supposed to what? Publish it. You involve the public. Typically, it occurs. It may also occur at any other stage of the EIA process. Yes, especially at the impact when you are doing your scoping exercise, you can also involve the public as well too, so that you get input from the locals there. Even the screening too, you can also involve the locals to get information there too. So the public involvement at the last stage here also involve you informing them. Like I said, if you are carrying it out in any particular location and they have the majority of the people understand the local language, it is mandatory that you also reproduce the report in the local language for proper understanding. Yes. So this is how it is being done. So generally, these are the stages, and sometimes what we may require of you can be as brief as this. The screening is to determine whether an EIA is required and at what level. And then the scoping is to identify key environmental and social issues. You define them. just as you are mentioning the negative impacts there. So the project coming in, what are the key environmental and social issues that is going to trigger? Then the baseline, like I said, you establish the current environmental and socioeconomic condition of that place. What is the vegetation like? What is the soil? What's the soil like? And all those things. Then you now begin to predict the change that your a project is going to bring. How much deviation is the project going to bring to the established environmental and social condition of the place? Then an impact analysis. Now you predict, evaluate potential environmental and social impact. So at this phase now, that is when you begin to trim a whole lot of them and focus on the most important one. Then you now propose mitigation measures, whether you avoid, you reduce, you compensate. All those ones, you look at them during the mitigation measure. And when you are done with that, you now come up with the EIA report, or what we call the environmental impact statement, the EIS. So this present EIA found in clear and structured format. We'll show you the format. Then you evaluate the quality and completeness of the EIA report during the review process. This one, the Federal Ministry of Environment, they do it a lot. They involve consultants too to do it for them. Then the approval comes in, and it's either you approve or you tell the person to resubmit, go and correct some things and resubmit, or it can even be outright disapproval as well too. Then the follow-up involve monitoring. All these things you mentioned you are going to do within the EMP or the ESMP, they need to be follow-up. There also need to be management and need to be audit. In the course of the project, it then needs to also bring in another to upgrade the level of the significance or the impact of the project. You ensure the implementation of mitigation measure and track the impact. If the impact gets to some level, there's need for audit at that phase. And then you can also introduce some mitigation measures that you didn't even foresee at the beginning of the project, at the project development phase. And public participation, this one promotes transparency, accountability, and stakeholder inclusion. We are going to take them one after the other briefly. The first stage, which is the screening, is to determine whether a project requires a full EIA, and if so, at what level of details. The first step is you submit your proposal of the project. Okay, you as the proponent, you submit it to the Federal Ministry of Environment or the designated authorities. Then at that phase, based on their experience, they can tell you straight ahead whether it needed EIA or not. But if, okay, based on their assessment, rather, they can tell you that sometimes it will just need one of their staff to get to the field to look at it. And if the initial assessment is not okay, or the screening is not conclusive, you do what we call the initial let me take, sorry. Okay, we do the initial environmental examination, which is very important, and is a preliminary proposal review, which is conducted to understand the nature, the size, the location, and potential impact of the project. And there are several ways you can carry out this screening. There are methods. We'll not go into the details. You can get to read more of them. Assessor or decision maker discretions. Basically, that one lies with the Federal Ministry of Environment. They can look at it. They are going to cite a gas plant in a heavily populated area whereby they carry out a lot of economic activities that involve fire and the rest. At some point, they may just take a look at it and give you the result immediately of your proposal. There's what we also call project lists with threshold and triggers. If you remember, I gave you some lists of some courses that could be, sorry, of some projects that are classified under category A. Sometimes decisions can be made based on that. You are going to construct a dam, okay? They can take a decision that a dam falls under category A project, and you know that it's just category A project. Then at times whereby your project is going to lie in between, not very clear, lie in between category A and category B project. So that decision, you just could not take it immediately. Yes, it's a rehabilitation project you are going to carry out, and you find out that for most rehabilitation projects, there's no much disturbance of the environment as well as the way of life of the people. So you want to classify it as a project, a category P project that will be requiring only an EMP. But you just cannot conclusively say it because there are other factors within the environment that is pointing to the fact that it should be an EIA, a full EIA that you carry out. At that particular phase, then you carry out the initial environmental examination, which will help you to take a proper decision on whether to carry out a full EIA or not. Then we have also the exclusion project list. Yes, in this particular, there are projects that the ministry already have the list of, okay? So the screening can also be done based on that. Then we also have the preliminary or initial EIA. Yes, somebody have done something similar with such magnitude around that place, and then the Federal Ministry of Environment have that EIA that had been initially conducted in that place. They could also visit it as well too, and that could also help them to take the decision on whether your work requires a full EIA or not. Then it can be a combination of all of these techniques. So these are some of the techniques that I use in the EIA. So for project categorization, like we talked about before now, category 1 requires full EIA, category 2 requires the partial EIA, or what we call the environmental management plan, while category 3 projects are unlikely to have significant impact and may not require further assessment. So site inspection, if necessary, you get to hear people in ministry, they'll tell you they are going for site inspection. It's possible that project proposed, the regulatory officer may visit the proposed site just to assess the environmental sensitivity. So a screening report comes out, a formal screening decision is issued indicating whether an EIA is needed and at what level. So usually the output will be that you that have the project proposal, you will be notified from the Federal Ministry of Environment, giving you the screening notification letter and also giving you the guiding step to take afterwards. So the importance is that it ensures resource use efficiency by focusing EIA efforts on projects with real potential for environmental harm. So an example is when the Federal Ministry of Environment receives a proposal from a cement plant near water body. They screen the project and classify it as category A project, that is at high risk, requiring a full EIA due to potential impact on water, air, and agricultural activities in that area. Sometimes once they see this type of project, they may not need to do site verification so much. Let me just classify based on what those methods that we talk about in the recent slides. So the second stage is the scoping stage. And this stage is to identify the key environmental issues. Stakeholders also, very important. Who are the stakeholders? And the extent of the study needed. So the key steps include stakeholder engagement. This time during the scoping, like I said, public can be involved at almost any stage of the EIA. So you need to do stakeholder engagement. You need to consult with relevant stakeholders and involve even the regulatory agencies, community members, NGO, technical experts to gather inputs on issues of concern. Yes, we want to construct a road passing through this particular place. What is your view as concerning it? They will tell you what to do. They will say, this particular place is this. The community will give you their view. The NGOs will give you their view. The technical expert will give you their view. You gather all of those information, and it will help you to come up with a very credible EIA report. Identification of valued environmental components, and the focus on environmental and social components that are likely to be affected and are of concern to the stakeholders. Very important. The value, okay, they have a major, they are idol worshippers in that place, and they have their major shrine in the forest that you want to come and carry out the project. You have to do a lot of stakeholder engagement there to identify, is there a way you can avoid that particular forest? How can you mitigate that? Somebody is saying the road is passing where I buried my father. You have to identify those things, and then the road may pass through the Igwe's house. You are looking for trouble if you don't identify those valued components within the environment, and you look at it from the environmental and social component of the project area. So you now issue prioritization. You are going to use toolkits like the checklist, expert judgment, and then preliminary data to prioritize the most significant potential impact, especially the negative impact. See, as a good EIA consultant, you are like a fault finder in quote, okay? I see some of you mentioning during the course of our presentation, you talk a lot about the positive impact. Yes, any good project being set up, the good side is always there. But to avoid all of these problems, let your mind, okay, be looking at possible faults, possible areas where there can be problem. Try to troubleshoot, okay? List them as plenty as group one listed, even group two listed too. Then you are going to do what we call the prioritization. You can't handle all of them. And that is where you need to either use the checklist. You also need to involve experts too. Okay. And then from preliminary data collected, you draw out your priority. How you are going to handle this, handle that, handle that. If you want to handle all the issues that will come up in the course of the project, you will end up spending all the project money on mitigation altogether. So you are going to draw prioritization, the most significant and potential impacts, negative impacts to be specific, of the project. So from there, you now develop what we call the TOR. These terms of reference, the TOR is a you prepare a structured outline of the AIS study based on the identified issues and analysis that is required. Then there will be a regulatory review and approval. You submit a draft of the TOR to the Federal Ministry of Environment or the appropriate authority to review, and they'll give you feedback on whether it is approved or you've done a good scoping or not. Then the output here is that, take note, because a question may be asked either in the test or in the exam, that what is the outcome of a scoping exercise? What is the final outcome of a screening exercise? You should be able to handle that. For scoping, a finalized and approved terms of reference that guides the conduct of the EIA study. That is the outcome of the scoping exercise. That's what you are looking at for the end result of this particular stage. And this ensures that the EIA study is focused. They are not doing everything. Okay? They are not doing everything and ended doing nothing. It's cost effective. Okay, you not spend all your money mitigating, and then you not give arbitrary cost to some of the mitigation efforts. Then, and to make sure that they are relevant to decision makers and affected parties. So this is an example is that during stakeholder meetings, you gather concerns about air pollution, water contamination, noise, and how they affect farmers. And these priorities are detailed investigation in the EIA, are prioritized for detailed investigation in the EIA study. So that is for the scoping. At the end of the scoping, you get the terms of reference that guides the conduct of the EIA study. So for baseline studies, like we say, after scoping, you do your baseline study. You establish the pre-environmental and social condition of the project area. What has been their vegetation? What is their soil like? What was the pH? What was the nutrient level? And it covers the physical, the biological, and the socioeconomic and cultural aspect. For the physical, you usually look at the air quality, the noise, the geology, the soil, the hydrology, and climate. You are going to do a comprehensive study on that. Let the reviewers take a look at it and the funders as well too. This is what you are going there to meet. And it will also help them to know that this project, is it going to affect air quality? How much of the change in the air quality is it going to bring there? If you are going to a place that the air quality is already bad, and then your own project is not contributing so much to the air quality of that place, or maybe even improving it, there is no need to mitigate air quality there, because the baseline study will give you a particular guide to know that the drastic negative change in particular from what you are meeting there is almost not there. Okay. For noise and so on, you take a look at it. It gives you an overview of what you are meeting in that project environment. Then for the biology, is it a place that have kangaroo? Is it a place that have a particular rare species of a plant or animals? The habitat type, is it a Guinea savanna, a rainforest? Their biodiversity. Do they have endangered species and so on? Those are things that international best practices focus on. You have to report them in your baseline study. Yes, you are going to establish an oil palm plantation. It's a very good one. But oil palm plantation covering a vast amount of land, you are going to disrupt the natural habitat of that place. Tell us what is the natural flora, fauna, the habitat type, and the endangered species that are known, that place is known for. Then we'll know whether to take a decision to go further with the project or not. The socioeconomic and cultural aspect involve the population of the people. Yes, it is the people of Ajaokuta community that is benefiting from this project. What is their population like? Okay, their land use pattern, is it for agriculture? Are they fishermen? Are they into mining? Okay. Then the health, even life expectancy at times, the livelihood of the people, their cultural heritage. Are there among the underserved communities in some areas? I learned even in some part of Nigeria, there are areas where they are still primitive. You see people still walking around naked or just covering their nudity with just leaves. People like that still exist, and they are well protected under international law. You can't just go there and do anyhow projects there. Those people are protected by international laws. So the baseline condition of that place, you highlight them from the physical, biological, socioeconomic, and cultural aspect. So there are approaches that you can do the deck studies, existing reports. You can get some of them from the ministry online and other places. You can also go there and do field survey. There are instances whereby some data, they are not there. They are not even online. You need to carry out field survey and sampling. I remember when one company I worked for needed to establish an oil pan, and they are doing their AIE. We had to go get an expert that went to that place to take soil samples and to also carry out some major parameter to collect some major samples to go and run and give us the result in order for us to continue to impute it in the EIS. So we also have stakeholders input. Yes, the stakeholders or the public input, the community input, very important for for context specific data. They have a lot to put in there. I can tell you that this particular place is like this, it's like that, it's like that, it's like this, and that can help you to make a robust baseline study. So the output is that you're going to have a comprehensive environmental report that serves as a reference for future monitoring. Yes. So with your baseline report, very important for monitoring. You came here, you met this particular, it becomes your control, let me put it that way. So any change in the environment from what it was before can help to track the impact of the project on the particular location of the project. So the importance is that it provides a context to evaluate the magnitude and significance of project-induced changes. An instance is that of scientists who collect water samples from River Castinala, who also measure air quality, record noise level, and survey local farmlands and health records of nearby communities like Boko, Castinala, okay, in order to come up with a comprehensive baseline environmental report that serves as reference for future monitoring within the EIA process and the project cycle. So from there, you go to the impact analysis. Here you predict and assess the potential environmental and social effect. Yes. The impact you are mentioning, are there direct or indirect impact? Are the impact positive or negative one? And you said I was also drawing your attention to the fact that irrespective of the fact that you have positive impact, also look at the negative ones too. Okay, focus very well and make sure you do a thorough one on the negative impact, because that is what will bring problem at the end of the day. But you also look at the positive aspect too. Then the impact, is it short term or long term? Is it cumulative or residual in nature? You need to identify all that in order to help you do a proper impact analysis. So there are methods that you can do. Dr. Taguba mentioned the matrices in, I think, part of the first lecture there too. Is you use the checklist or your matrix Just like Group 1 also did a checklist, a matrix of the impact as well too. That was commendable. And then you have the environmental modeling and simulations is a method that could also be used. Then expert judgment. This one is used widely. And then scenario analysis. Okay, you try to come up with a scenario, a kind of a play that if the project is going on and trucks are moving up and down, there will be at a point on time whereby there will be oil spills from these heavy tanks, and then especially where they are parked. Okay, and when they are parked like the heavy metals are going to move into the soil. So those are scenario analysis, and at the end of the day, you now come up with mitigation measures for some of those impact of the study. So there are criteria for the assessment. You look at the magnitude of the impact. Group 1 also tried to go that far to tell us that they have high impact. Okay, so you look at the magnitude, the duration, how long will do the noise, okay, last, even the dust, how long within the project cycle will the dust that will be the particulate matters, how long the duration. Then the reversibility, is this something that could be reversible? Okay, that is with the mindset on mitigation now. Then how significant it is. Okay, is it something that can be ignored? Okay, or is it something that you need to pay close attention to? So those are the criteria of assessment. At the end of the day, impact analysis will bring up a detailed impact assessment report with justification for significant rating. You now rate the impact based on how serious they are and so on. So the importance that it informs mitigation, decision making, and public engagement. An example of impact analysis is where the EIT finds that cement dust may affect cassava farm and local respiratory health. Runoff could also contaminate river, impacting fishing communities in communities communities downstream. Okay, so fishing activities in community downstream could also be affected as a result of runoff, even leachate from a particular a factory and so on. So all those ones are part of what EIA team find out whenever they do a very good impact analysis. Like we said, that will inform mitigation because you have categorized them, the ones with high impact, the one with very low impact, and the rest. And it will also inform decision making and then the public engagement as well too. If the impact is very high and it could cause you, you need to go and ask some question again. If we do this and we intend to either do this as a mitigation measure, will you people accept it? At least you have engaged the public to some extent, the communities. And with that, you know whether it is something to embark on or not. So the mitigation measures follows. Afterwards, after you've done your impact analysis, then you develop actions to avoid, to minimize, rectify, reduce, or compensate for negative effects. So these can also vary. Okay, you read some text, it may not appear the way they are. But usually the first step is to avoid. That's the number one thing. Can you avoid completely this? Is it avoidable? When it is not avoidable, can you minimize it? You must, can you avoid cement dust coming out from a particular, is it the exhaust where they are, what do they call it again? Cement dust coming from the refinery, from the company, from the factory. Is it possible to avoid it completely? If it is not possible, is there a technology that can minimize it? Okay. Can it be rectified? Can it be reduced? If it is not possible, how do you compensate? That's what I've said now. How do you compensate for it? So the first line of action is usually not to begin to throw money around, but first of all, can you avoid it altogether? Yes, the road is going to pass through a forest whereby they have their most revered shrine there, and it's something the people there hold in high esteem. Can you completely avoid that particular forest or that particular road passing through that place? There is a particular animal that is an endangered species in that particular forest. The road must pass through. Can you completely avoid it? If not, what else can you do to minimize the impact and to also rectify or offset as need be? So the last exam, we asked them to reproduce this hierarchy, and almost 90% of the class could not. Integration, okay, to ESMP, yes. This is where the mitigation measure comes in. Like I told you, EIA has EMP inside of them, or the ESMP inside of them. And it is this mitigation aspect that sets it aside. Okay? So there are specific mitigation measures. There are also institutional responsibility. There are budget and timelines. You are going to see them very soon. There are also monitoring indicators which are linked to specific impact and mitigation activities. So the output from here is that you are going to have a robust environmental management plan. It's a section of the EIA report. For category A project, it's a section of EIA report. But for category B project, this is the only thing you do. You bring out your impact analysis, and then you carry out your environmental monitoring and management plan, your EMP or your ESMP. So the importance is you propose actions to avoid, reduce, compensate for negative impacts. I told you, as a good consultant, you let your mind look at the fault. You be like a fault finder. Okay, look at it critically. Look at the problem. Yes, there are positive impact, but your mind should always be going to what if. Okay, what are the negative impacts that may come out as a result of this project, and how they could be effectively handled. Example is the company is advised to install dust filter. Yes, that is for particulate matter as a result of dust being raised during the project, or set up watershed treatment system. You also construct a buffer zone with trees, and then to relocate to a nearby school 2 kilometers from the plant in order for the project to go on. So those are some of the mitigation measures that could come up. So the key features of a good environmental management plan, EMP or your ESMP, is specify all linkages. It communicates the contractor, regulatory agency, and institution. It also gives the mitigation measures. They are specific and they are detailed. Mitigation and monitoring measures are feasible and practical. Proper assessment of institutional capacity, identification of capacity building measure, monitoring indicators are clear and are mainly measurable. Monitoring targets are specific. The proposed mitigation and monitoring measures are also duly costed. You'll get to see some examples very soon. This is how a component of an EMP is. Maybe tomorrow I'll show you an environmental and social management plan of the rehabilitation of schools. That will also help you to know how a category P project, the ESMP, is being written to also help, because most of the projects that may come into you when you begin to practice is those ones that will require a detailed environmental and social management plan, and you need to know how to carry it out. Like we said before now, that these are the activities. If you look at the assignment I gave you, okay, the project activity have been listed there. The potential environmental impact is being listed there. I see that when some of you were explaining too much and I told you to just calm down, just give us the points, okay? This is how to write them. Write them, let them be brief like this. And then what are the proposed mitigation measures? This is where you now express yourself very well on how you are going to carry it out. Now, take a look at this. Now, let's take a few of them. The activity inside the project is that you are going to use land within the planned construction area and along the access route. What is the impact? It's going to damage vegetation. What are the what are the mitigation measures? You do appropriate clearing, not mechanized clearing, will be utilized. Any tree protected species will be relocated. That's what you say there. And in case relocation is not possible, the project developer will agree with the Ministry of Environment on a practical compensation for protected trees. There are trees in some location. I remember there was one tree close to one Oba house in one of the, I won't mention the place. They were doing road construction within the town, and according to the story we heard, they cut down this tree. The next morning they came back, the tree stood up again. They brought it down. The tree came back and it was up again. They cut it again, even into other pieces. They say at night, the thing relocate. Yeah, I don't know how true that is, but those were the story moving around the town when I was there. Until proper compensation was carried out, and whoever was behind those mysteries, they were settled. That was when construction could continue in that place. That is a very extreme example, for example. But most times we look at the endangered species. Okay. Now, all these things we talk about, who is going to be the one responsible? So that when the M&E team from Ministry of Environment come, or if the monitors are coming, who do they hold responsible? You say it is the contractor or the plant operating company. And what is the cost? You put the cost either in naira or in dollars, depending on what you are told to do. Okay, so that is for that. For vegetation, you talk of air pollution by dust. Say what? Sorry. Okay, you talk about construction during the construction work. At air pollution by dust. What are the necessary things to do? The site will be sprayed with water, particularly during hot, dry, and windy conditions. Who is responsible for that? The contractor or the plant operating company? How much will it cost? $2,000. You do that, and at the end of the day, you are going to total everything. So, what is the cost of the mitigation measures that you have proposed? Are they even realistic? Can $2,000 handle this dust, this watering of the road that you are proposing, and all those things? So the reviewers will take a look at that, and then they'll come up with the with the conclusion on that. I mean, okay, so we have coal combustion, the potential environmental impact. These terrible gases are going to come up. What are your proposed mitigation measures? They are there. And who is responsible? So if you notice, you list them out, and then whoever is responsible to carry out those things, they are there, and the cost is also mentioned there too. Equipment operation, noise, and all those you mentioned them. So this is one of the most critical parts of the environmental and social management plan, the ESMP, which at the end of this particular course, you should be able to come up with for at least some projects that are being carried out. In your exam, I may just come up with something like this, okay? And then I'll list some project activities and then tell you to develop, to at least mention the potential impact and propose mitigation measures. You have done it already. And then tell who is responsible for that particular operation, and then you just propose a cost. It's something that is very simple. If you ever attended the class, you should be able to write something there that will fetch you some marks there. So there are a lot of examples here you can just read to give you idea on what to do when you are faced with drafting an EMP. So after that, you have your EMP in place, you now do your reporting. You consolidate all findings into a coherent decision-ready document. And they usually have the executive summary, project description, legal framework, methodology. We'll go into this EIS in the next session. So I may not go into the details, but this is usually the structure of how the EIS look like. That is the EIA report. And the best practice is that make sure it is clear, concise, not too many words. Don't write too plenty. Use of visuals, map, very important. When I show you that example of the one that was approved, you see that for every phase, they'll tell you where the project is located. They'll give you the GIS, the map, where they are located, the type of vegetation around the location. Very important for decision. The use of visuals, important. It should be evidence-based and also have references as well too. The importance of this EIS is the main decision support document for regulators and stakeholders. An example is the EIS submitted to the Federal Ministry of Environment containing all assessment, mitigation plan, map, and stakeholders as well as feedback. The report includes summary in English and even TIF local languages. Okay, so the EIS is an important component. The review aspect is important too. That is the stage 7. The check reports accuracy. I told you Professor Shomke does this very well too on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Environment when projects related to forestry and the rest, they are sent to him to review, to check reports accuracy, the credibility. If you see an EIA report, some EIA report, they are huge. Okay, some can be as small as 600 pages. They are big. Okay, and then the reviewer will go through it to check for accuracy, credibility, completeness, and so on. So there are times the regulatory body by the Federal Ministry or state agency, they look at it. Then independent experts, that is where people like Shonki comes in. Then what they look at is completeness and accuracy, scientific rigor. Is it just too common or there's a rigorous scientific analysis done? Stakeholders' responsiveness, they look at the stakeholders' input into the something, not that you just go and copy something from somewhere, but how particular all the evidence of stakeholder involvement in this particular AI report. The alignment with the TOR. Told you that the scoping gives birth to the TOR. Then the final EIA report you are submitting, how best does it align with that TOR you established during the scoping phase? Very important. The process involves review sessions and workshops, compilation of review comments, and then request for revision and additional studies. If it is not robust enough, they can tell you go back to the field, do additional studies, and put in the report. Then at the end of the day, after a good, successful review, the approval can be given, or request for revision will be given, or with documented rationale, or to be even be and tell you it is not approved. Importance is that it ensures decision making is based on sound and trustworthy information. For example, the Federal Ministry of Environment and the Benue State Environmental Protection Agency organized a panel including environmentalists like you and I, NGOs, academics from Joseph Sawa and Taka to critique a particular EIS. Whenever you hear EIS, we are talking of the EIA report. Let us stick, okay? Environmental impact statement, the EIA report. So the decision-making process, the 8th stage. Here you formally approve, reject, or give condition the project. The decision authority is the Federal Ministry of Environment or the designated agency. The positive outcome will be approval with condition or conditional approval pending modifications of those areas they pointed out. The third one is rejection. You can't just do this project. So consideration, technical merits and impact significance, yes, they look at it. The public opinion and stakeholder concern, how much were you able to address it in your AIS? And then legal compliance, economic and social trade-off, also important. This project, these are the mitigations I'm going to put in. Okay. Is this something you could do? Or you feel it is the mitigation measures suggested after review is even so much? So output here is the environmental authorization or certificate or the approved or certificate of environmental compliance is given at this phase. The important is that it formalizes whether the project can proceed and under what environmental safeguards. Example is based on review, Federal Ministry of Environment can grant conditional approval that a factory can proceed only if it complies with the full list of mitigation measures and submit quarterly environmental monitoring report. So you can have that kind of conditional approval. The follow-up phase, we say that this is where you do your monitoring and other things, an audit. This is to ensure that the predicted impact and proposed mitigation are effectively managed post-approval. The companies is the monitoring plan, the compliance audit, and then the adaptive management of the project. Monitoring, audit, and adaptive management of the project. You are not rigid. Based on new things that you see in the field, don't ignore them. You just have to find a way of adapt, especially if they have serious environmental and social concern. You just have to be adaptive about it. So the methods include field measurement and sampling, stakeholders feedback, environmental performance indicators. They are used, and the frequency is based on the project phase. Is that the the operational phase or the commissioning phase? Then you have the importance is to ensure accountability, continuous improvement, as well as sustainability. A good example is when the Federal Ministry of Environment inspector visit a site biannually. A local NGO in Boko is also trained to monitor the dust level and farmers report on crop health. This company is penalized once for failing to maintain filters. Yes, filters, especially whenever if their plant is giving out what destroys the farmer's crop as a result of dust being emitted from the factory. Public participation to ensure transparency, legitimacy, and inclusion in the EIA process. The approaches include public hearing and consultations, focus group discussion, stakeholders workshop, and disclosure of EIA report. All of them are important approaches with which you can carry out public participation. So the principle of public participation include early and continuous involvement, inclusive of vulnerable and marginalized people. Don't ignore them. Don't ignore them. It has to be inclusive of vulnerable and marginalized people. Free. Don't go to a community and they say these ones are royal and these other ones are non-royal. You now go to the royal alone and then feel you have done a good public. You are wasting your time. The non-royal are the ones that may give you problem later in the course of the project implementation. Free, prior, and informed consent. Very important. Documentation, participation logs, minutes of meetings, feedback summary. The importance that it improve project acceptance, reduce conflict. Project acceptance is very important. The community or the public, they own the project, they will protect it. It reduce conflict and enhance the EIA quality. Any reviewer that says that you did a very good public participation and you adhere to some of the concerns raised during your public consultation, they will usually applaud it. So example is a town hall meeting held in Tiv language. Women's group, farmers group, fishermen, youth leaders, they give their inputs as concerning a particular project. Concerns about displacement and health were incorporated into the final report based on how those people gave their consent. That is a good public consultation or public participation has been carried out. So most of the challenges we have with EIA in Nigeria is this inadequate baseline data. You want to carry out EIA of a particular place, you cannot go online and get a robust, credible baseline data. Sometimes you cannot even go to the ministry to get it. You have to go carry samples and run those things by yourself. So there is inadequate baseline data. There's also political interference. Situation whereby somebody will tell you, don't report that. Okay, that project must go to this particular company because it's related to the Senate president or related to the Speaker of the House, like that. Or there's an interest coming from somewhere. There's also weak enforcement. Sometimes our people will see that this company is doing the wrong thing. They have an idea of what is in the EIS. The EIS says that they are going to take care of dust in the course of the project implementation. They are not doing it. But the people that will enforce it, you see that their mouth have been shut up. Okay, weak enforcement is there. Low public awareness. And there is this mentality seriously among our people that whenever the government is doing something or whenever a contractor is doing developmental project, they are doing the public a favor. And so the contractor can just go and do whatever he likes and then goes. Public don't know their right, that some of these things they are actually protected. The contractor actually made a commitment to do it. In fact, they are not even aware that there's a commitment by the contractor as concerning some of those mitigation measures. The only mitigation measures that people know about most time is when their house is being destroyed. They ask for compensation. Let's say they are constructing road or building factory, your house falling between the project site, they destroy it, they pay you maybe for the land alone, and that's that. Those are very low public awareness. Then capacity gaps among consultants. There are people that are writing EIA now. I can tell you categorically, most of them are not qualified. It should be either some of us or you that is undergoing good training and have gone through years of experience under a good hand, a good consultant that should be involved in this. But there are quacks, but they are very smart about it. Because you are not getting into it, they'll go download what was done in Ajaokuta, alter some things, and come and present it for a project they want to do in Benue State. And I tell you, those people harvest millions from EIA report. Well, so the opportunities for improvement involve capacity building for professionals, the use of modern GIS tool. Yes, that helps, especially in the aspect of providing maps in uh, in a particular, sorry, in the report. Then stronger legal enforcement, then integration with the strategic environmental assessment, and then enhance community engagement. All these are opportunities that as a consultant, you can actually take in to help improve the EIA process. So EIA, in conclusion, is more than a process. It is a commitment to protecting our environment. It is a commitment to empowering our communities, and it is a commitment to ensuring development today does not compromise the need of tomorrow. Thank you for your patience and for your audience. I know there will be questions, but maybe I'm going to quickly show you let me see if I can quickly get it. An SMP. Okay. Just hold on a little, I'll get to you soon. Okay. Okay. All right. So, sorry, let me quickly. All right. Let me share my screen. I have a lot on the screen. I'm trying to locate where I open it. Okay. So I'm going to share this document that is on the screen now with you. So this is is done in Ogun State Environmental and Social Management Plan for rehabilitation of 6 colleges at Ogun State. So you take a look at it. This is the final report, okay, of the ESMP. Final report. You go through it and you get to see, you can see the budget. They have the introduction. Now look at the map here. This is for the first site, okay? This one is at Ijebu-Ode. But first of all, give you a description. This is like the baseline information of the place. And that place with the red line there, that is where the project is going to affect. That's the project site. It's a rehabilitation project. These are some of the classrooms that are going to undergo rehabilitation. They tell you about the location, the description, the baseline condition. Look at the baseline condition we are talking about, okay? So they will describe the place, the climate, the rainfall, the air quality, the noise pollution, description even of the host communities as well, to the urbanization, the agricultural, their occupation, even their religion as well too. The amenities in the community, their leadership pattern, you mention it. Very important for decision taking. Then at the end of the day, during the project, you look at the environmental impact. You can see just as one of the persons contributed, we have the pre-construction phase. That's the A phase now. All the environmental impact, air quality deterioration, fugitive dust, exhaust fume, and the rest. You can see that they are well listed there. Okay. From there, you go to the pre-construction phase as well too. The environmental impact, the social impact, they are listed there. The construction phase, all of them, they are listed there. Who is responsible, who is carrying out the monitoring, and the whole lot. I'm going to share this document with you to see how a robust environmental and social management plan is being carried out, at least to further buttress what we uh, uh, have been saying. Because of time, I need to really stop now and get to campus. I'm still in town. I have a Senate meeting by 12. So there are other things I need to do at my center before I leave. But I also want to tell you that I'm going to be sharing this with the class rep, the group work for tomorrow. Permit me to quickly share it. Is it this one? So I'm going to be sharing this with the class rep. I'll just run through it. They are going to use this link, the video link down below here, to answer the questions. Okay? And group one, as usual, you answer these questions. Okay? You are going to categorize it into category A, B, project, and what are the potential environmental risks you identify, which environmental and social safeguard instruments should be used, should the borrower use. When they say borrower, you are talking about Nigeria now through the Federal Ministry of Environment to prepare for this project and why. Then suggest mitigation measures and monitoring indicators that could be applied to identify all those. These are all questions for group one. Then group two, we are going to, there are also going to be these questions that group two are going to answer. They are straightforward. That the social risks, you are focusing on the social risks and the differences in the view based on what you saw in the clip. Okay, it's a YouTube clip that you're going to take a look at and then you answer this. So please, for now, just jot it down, okay? I'm going to work on the link and send you the link possibly before 4 o'clock. But I need to really prepare for my meeting now. So this is the YouTube link, okay? So impact of a factory project in Haiti. I can just send a link to the class rep for you to look at now. I'll work on this document and send an updated version for you to answer against it tomorrow. So all questions and reaction, please. Can we hold it maybe depending on, because I just have to leave now. But in case I'll need to get maybe 1 or 2 questions for now. Let me see your hands. Maybe I can respond to that quickly before I leave. George, can I hear you? Okay.
Oh.
All right, George, you can unmute quickly.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, Okuma, yes.
Yes, we were talking about the stages in EIA process. I'm particularly concerned about the screening techniques. You discussed the preliminary or initial EIAs. At that juncture, you said there are some EIAs that are conducted in a particular area. So when another one comes up, they may just go back and do a check to ascertain how that area or what it looks like for the particular one they are concerned with. Then looking at my example that you have here concerning the cement plant that is to be built upon close to a river, it has been categorized as category A. It was categorized as the Federal Ministry, of the example here, received a proposal for cement plant near a water body. The screening project is classified as category A, high risk. Now, if another person or a company wishes to establish a dam close to such a project, are they going to use the screening they have done for the cement project and then go ahead and then issued a particular category to such a company that wants to build that dam, or because it's not a dam is not related to the cement plant company, or they are going to through the whole process of EIA screening?
Okay,
I'm
all
asking
right.
this in regards to you saying because it's in the same environment, they will just, Nigerian factor. Once it is in the same water body, they will just give the person the EIA saying this is it, but these two are not together. Thank you, sir.
All right, Lee, if you understand what I said earlier on, I said that this project before now, just as we thought that some of these projects, just by mere looking at it, you can immediately categorize them into the high risk and the low risk categories of projects. But there are instances whereby this thing is not clear cut. You may not be able to take that final decision at that phase. That's when you go to do what we call the initial environmental examination. Okay, you have to do the initial environmental examination in order to help you to take a better decision. So I'm only saying using an existing EIA report to give you an idea, okay, of the existing, in fact, even the baseline condition and other, whatever is there before, and give you an idea. In fact, for a dam project, you know that one is under category A already, okay? That one is there. But still, how serious is this dam, the effect of the dam, based on what you have? And usually where the cases is not very clear cut like that is when you are trying to conclude that a project is a category B project or a category C project. If those ones are not, there are some category B projects, they are actually category A project. If you want to rely on existing data, you may end up getting it wrong. But when you are not very sure, you must carry out an initial environmental examination in order to come up with a decision to go up with full EIA or to leave it as an ESMP. So let that one not be confusing, please. Sorry, I lost the list of, let me see. Oh my God. Okay. Dofan, please, quickly.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much for the informative lecture. My question is this. During the EIA process, the first step, you talk about screening. And there is this place close to me where I live. It's a residential area. And there is a restaurant close. And the restaurant had been there before a filling station is now built there. So I want to understand, was there no EIA that took place? Because there is a restaurant and there is also a small market there where there is always use of fire. And in the screening, you also talked about there should be a looked out during the screening about fire outbreak at such places that involve gas and fuel. So I really want to get it clear, sir.
That one, because of how peculiar our situation is in this country, whether an EIA was done before the approval was given, I may not be able to speak to that. But I don't know, there are industry people around us here. Maybe you could share with us some of your field experience as concerning that. But ideally, if a proper screening was done and an idea of the location, you saw how we saw the GIS. If, from the GIS alone, and if it's identified that it's in a highly populated area, some of those approvals are not supposed to be given for fueling station and the rest. But maybe how it is being done in the industry and the peculiarities, somebody you may please share that with us to give us a clearer perspective of how this thing is being done. So the floor is open to anybody that may want to contribute in that respect. Zugu, quickly.
Yeah. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the lecture. It's been expository and very good. My question is on EIA reporting regarding the stages. I think one of the stages is public consultation and findings. What I was wanting, because you made mention of particular cases where, after everything is done, you encounter the public stakeholders and the people you're supposed to engage, maybe host communities, and then maybe it encounters issues. So my question is it not better? What is actually the first point of contact as a matter of principle to be sure that, okay, this process can go through so that you don't do all the work at the end of the day, you come and meet a deadlock somewhere where a group of people who are powerful you decide that this thing cannot work. That's my number one question. Then my number two question is regarding sharp practices or quick practices regarding people who go to get EIE reports in previous places to use it to work. I don't know if you can give us maybe a little insight where we can, as a regulatory systems that can be used to check that. We know that occurs in a lot of professional bodies, even engineering, because my background is engineering, and we also experience that where a lot of people can play sharp practices. So if you can give us insight on that. So my question is basically on that first principle of where the first contact, so that at the end of the day, you don't go around wasting time or you spend money or resources, or at the end of the day, it's being rejected. What's actually the most important thing when you're looking at the reporting, EIE reporting documentation and structure? And then the second is regarding sharp practices, how you can mitigate that.
Thank you. Just to respond to that, I told you in the course of the lecture that once you discover that the work requires the full EIA, okay, you need to also, part of where you are going to get your information from is from the stakeholders, from the major stakeholders. You get information from them. Don't sit inside and go and edit a formal EIA report and present. Go and ask questions in that place. Go take samples during your scoping exercise, and then get a detailed terms of reference. Then you get a detailed terms of reference. It's a guide for you already to have in fact, you're on the path to success. But when you do a very bad scoping, okay, you assume a whole lot of things because you think you're a professional. At the end of the day, you're already heading for the ministry may not know that you didn't do a good scoping. You didn't involve stakeholders, and then you present a very good report. They approve it. But that doesn't mean the project is going to succeed. You already know that sharp practices have come in at that particular point in time. So from that scoping, please keep, I told you public engagement can come in at any stage of the project, because there are things they will tell you may not see them in book or online. So that's very important. And that sharp practice aspect, I didn't get you very clearly. But if you permit me, in order not to delay this, I want to answer that in the next class, please. I need to really leave now. I want to appreciate all of you for your time and your patience. It's past 11 now. I think we can confidently add at this page, declare at this phase. Please, the class rep, you will link up with me between 4 o'clock or so. Let me post the information as concerning tomorrow class. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Class rep.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the lesson.
Thank you.
See you in the
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Lecture given,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
A
Thank
lot
you,
of
sir.
sacrifice to be with us. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right.
1 o'clock.
Thank you.
It's our second class holding.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.